Thank you, Bridget. So now we will move to our speakers who will be talking about their own personal experiences. So join me, please, in welcoming Jason Knight. Jason Knight lives in San Diego. He served as a linguist for the United States Navy from 2001 to 2007, where he earned multiple awards, including the, must be a typo here, but maybe some sort of achievement medal, the Navy Good Conduct Medal, Global War and Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, and the Navy Ceremonial Guard Service Medal. And Jason has a very interesting story, and he will give you the details on that. Join me in welcoming Jason Knight. I actually just want to say one more thing, which is in the interest of time, we'll hold questions until the panel discussion at the end of the evening. So please remember a question that you want to ask, and you'll have a chance to do it then.
So yes, I do have an interesting story. I was actually kicked out of the military twice under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I think I'm the only person that's ever happened to. It's kind of interesting. I joined the military in 2001. I came from a very conservative family in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I joined the military to get out of rural Pennsylvania and go see the world and see what was in store for me. At the time, I probably might have known I was gay, but I was just doing the normal thing to do, psychology. And I had actually started dating a female, and we had gotten married, and big disclaimer, not a good thing to come out on your wedding night. Not a good thing. Yeah. I came from a very conservative family, so I figured if I had done the normal thing to do, that the feelings I had been feeling would just go away, and I would just be able to do it. I was in the military at the time, and I figured out quickly that's not how it works. And we went through and started our annulment paperwork, and unfortunately, to change my status back from married to single, I had to give that annulment paperwork back into the military. And this was the reason for my first discharge. I had not had any kind of relationships with anybody up until this point. I was completely celibate. So it was just the fact that it was on a government document that I was gay, and that was what it was. So I had done 4 years at this point. I was a linguist, a Hebrew linguist, a very small community, very integral community. And unfortunately, my entire career was shot down. A year later, I got a recall letter back to service, which was completely just awe. I don't know, I don't have any words for it still. And I guess I found out later that I'd inadvertently been put back into the inactive reserve rather than the Don't Ask, Don't Tell charges being enforced. So, I love my military service, and I had taken an oath to serve my country, so I decided to go back. And I was sent to Kuwait for a year, but under my own conditions that, I'd already been out, I already knew who I was. I wasn't going to compromise myself, for anybody. So I went back in and I served my country. I served it well. My entire command knew that I had been kicked out once before. They knew that I was gay. The biggest thing is it wasn't a big thing, and this is, what people are saying. I was overseas, in combat, in the arena, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. I continued to get accolades. I continued to up in rank and, get awarded, and it just wasn't a big deal. It wasn't until 2007 when General Peter Pace, the former Joint Chiefs of Staff, made comments in the military newspaper that he said that gays were immoral. And I don't know, I'd never been somebody to muddy, to kind of ripple the waters, but it kind of sparked the inner activist. And I wrote a short little 5-line blurb to the letter to the editor of the Stars and Stripes magazine that it was printed in. And I said, how can someone so senior say this about a huge group of people who are serving and serving honorably? And I guess it was a bold step because it wound up being on the front page, and it was just huge. I came back to the States, and you can't really go up against the Joint Chiefs and win. So I was, I was kicked out of the military the second time, but it was different. You know, I kind of knew that that was probably going to happen, but I got an opportunity where I could speak on behalf of people who can't speak for themselves. And you know, I hold that very dear to myself. So over the past 3 years, that's what I've been doing. I worked with SLDN, doing media all over the U.S., working with other service members who have been, you know, in my situation, and I've seen some really heartbreaking stories. And it's a shame that we're still living in a society where we're discriminating against people just basically because of who they are. You know, the biggest, like I said, the biggest thing is it's not a big deal anymore. So why is this law still on the books? You know, so the past 3 years, I've just been doing events like this so I can, you know, get this out to people and say, you know, call your congress member, tell them to get rid of it. You know, stories like mine, and like, you know, other ones that you're here today, just really go to that effect. And yeah, so that's my story of how I got kicked out twice and Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Funny thing is, you know, even after being discharged a second time, I got another recall letter back to service while working at a gay organization. You know, so that my lawyers were like, you know, why don't you Google him and figure out if you really want him back. But honestly, you know, if Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed, I would definitely go back and finish my 20 years, you know, and go back and do my service. The military is a totally different culture. It's something that is just instilled in me, and it's something that I want to go back and I want to do, and I think a lot of people can really say that about themselves as well. So, thank you.